right, welcome everyone. So we are here for our third treatment in our 90-day program for hyperpigmentation. We're excited to look at Lily's skin and just kind of see what happened with her skin when she went through that last peel, which was I think about 2 weeks ago. We did a progressive peel, so we didn't really do a post follow-up with her. Our hopes today is to do a mid-depth peel, a little more aggressive, and then be able to have her come in for a post follow-up the following week. So let's just jump right in and start talking to you, Lily, about what did you experience going through your peel? How much actual shedding or peeling did you experience?
I have a lot of peeling right at this area.
Okay.
In this area and on this side.
Mm-hmm.
Come all the way down here. But on this part is just a
Little
not
bit?
as much as the other part.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah.
peel, but it's not as much as like this one's the most peeling, and then my forehead and my
Nose
like,
area,
the T-zone.
kind of T-zone,
is
yeah.
better.
Did you have any sensitivities through the peel? How did your skin do with all the post-care and everything? Did you have any complications that you would say?
As long as I use the post care just like you guys show me, then I have no problem.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, you know, your skin's a little more tender to touch and things
Yes,
like that, and you
yes,
went through
yes.
that.
So I
It
have to
looks
be
great.
So careful when in the morning I have to put more the sun defense that you guys give.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when it's too hot outside, I'll put in some of the makeup
Mm-hmm.
just to shade it out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say from that amount of time? Did you kind of stop peeling within 7 days, or which is about a week after, or did you go a little longer than that, or?
No, it's about a week.
Yeah, right on time. So that's good to know.
After the week, it's just this part. It's
Just a little more.
yeah, just a little
Kind
more
of shedding.
on this part, and that's it.
Okay. All right, good. Well, your skin looks really clear. I see a lot more clarity to it,
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
fine.
I'd have to really look more at the befores and after to see if we've gotten any pigment movement. I don't know if you noticed, Michelle or Caitlin, but and how about you? Do you feel like you're seeing a difference with your skin overall? What would you say on that?
Even though I've seen it every day, I still see the difference from it. Like
Yeah.
my pores is more defined than before, and then my skin look more moisture, and it's not as like as dry as before.
Yeah.
And I think it's brighter. It's not as dark.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, she's kind of got like a glow to her skin a little bit more. I definitely see the pore area and just texture of her skin looks better already. We've only done 2 treatments. The neat thing about this is, remember we did talk about pigmentation and the challenges with pigmentation when it comes to what's really happening to that cell, to the melanocyte activity. All we're really doing is kind of suppressing it layers into the skin. We're not making that permanent change. And so when we can look at a skin and then be able to make overall changes, the appearance of that pigmentation starts to lessen. The way they feel about their skin really does change. So you're making changes along the way, which is great when you're doing some kind of program like this. So I think all is good. Your skin looks really healthy. Looks like it's completely peeled, no sensitivity, no inflammation. It looks great, which means that we can really go into this next peel and go for a little bit more aggressive. Now, what we did do last time was we did a progressive peel, but we finished with the vitamin A, which took it into kind of a progressive plus. The fact that she finished peeling around that 7-day time frame helps us to understand her healing. We can see on her skin if she had any areas of picking, which looks really good. It doesn't look like you did anything. Very compliant. We love that. And so overall, she's good to go. What do we need to watch for when we're dealing with pigmentation? You know, still you want to watch for too much heat. You want to take her background into consideration. A lot of times we use the alpha hydroxy acids to get more lifting, especially in our melanin lift peel. We've found sometimes though with being in Colorado, we've talked about this a lot through this series because that's where we are, and then we kind of have those things to deal with. But also even with Asian kind of background is that AHAs sometimes aren't necessarily the most friendly. Sometimes they really can be, and you can get some good lifting. But we thought, you know, she did so well, and we used the sake of doing a combination where we're going to bring in an AHA element to kind of loosen and lift and allow that sake to go further. We're going to do that with the hibiscus peel instead of an alpha hydroxy acid, and then we'll go into the sake. So what we're doing today that I think will be great on her skin is a version of our Brighten Up peel. If you want to look at the Brighten Up peel, you can. It's on page 24 in your Art of Skin Peels book, that workbook. So we're going to go ahead and we can go ahead and get started. We might want to pull that back, maybe just get a little more of her forehead there. We can go ahead and get started with the cleansing, and then we'll talk through a few things, and then we'll talk as we go through the protocol where we're making changes and kind of why. So we're making this Brighten Up peel, which is progressive, changing it to more of a mid-depth peel. And using that mint papaya, which I think I really felt strongly about. I liked how the tomato looked on her skin last time. And just adding that enzyme component for her, you don't always have to do that depending on what you're going for, but I feel like that'll be really good for her skin, and it'll certainly help those acids to even go further.
And especially when we're dealing with hyperpigmentation with more of an ethnic skin type, if we do too many inflammatory acids, then it can have the potential of creating post-inflammatory pigmentation. So allowing for a really specific gentle enzymatic exfoliation first, it's going to enhance the treatment more, but not bring in the inflammatory component.
Yeah. So I think that'll be really great for her skin. And so using that mint papaya and then building off of that Brighten Up protocol to kind of take it a little bit further. So, but talking with her, I think everything looks good, with her skin. Really, actually, I was very pleased seeing her and kind of the progress so far, and know that we can really get such great results by the time this 90 days up. Right now, we're using our Skin Brightening Cleanser with our brightening scrub.
Yes.
So we're kind of mixing those two. You can do them individually if you want to. You can mix them. You can also do another gentler cleanse if you wanted to prior to, and then bring this in, depending on if they had a lot of makeup on and things like that. But this will give a really good deep cleanse. In the treatment room right now, and because we're going to use a mint papaya enzyme, you could bring in steam here. And sometimes I like to do that at this stage because it'll really help those beads even melt into the skin further. And so you just get that steamer going. It'll open up her skin to be receiving a little bit further, a deeper cleanse, and then we'll remove it. And Michelle will show you some techniques too with the dry removal with any times you're using a granular exfoliation, and to help you kind of get rid of some of those beads a little bit easier, and then even doing a hot tail compress if we wanted to, or then going back with the gauze. But as she's cleansing, let's talk about a little bit more pigmentation, or if we have some questions out there to discuss. Maybe thinking about her skin and on this path here. What do you think as far as the eye area here and where we're going to get with that as far as some movement? It looks pretty dense to me. What's your thoughts, Caitlin? Do you have any thoughts about that?
It's hard to tell this far, and it's really important at this stage to manage the customer's expectations, especially with it being so dense. There's obviously some other underlying hormonal issues that are probably the #1 contributor to that spot, because it's very cylindrical and it seems like it's much more dense, so it could be more of a hormonal component, which is really
much harder
to deal with.
Get that movement. I'm thinking we might want to go back today, because this would be a good one to really see what we get with that, is to go back with our Q-tip technique and get her eye area and really do an eye peel, and we can talk about that with you too, which is just going to be, your eyes could be a little more sensitive. And they'll certainly turn really dark brown and really start to peel off. Are you good with that today?
Yes.
Normally we don't ask that right now, right? We want to go, but I didn't even look at her, thinking her face, but then seeing that, I think we really needed to start tackling it as much as we can on the front end, so we can see what we need to do for the rest of this 90-day. So that might be a good way. And using it with the TCA or the sake peel, it's a version of our TCA sal, which the TCA salicylic is the main one where we really do those eye peels and get in there and get more lifting and really great results in that way. So using this will be a little more mild, but might work really well for her skin. So.
And it's that really sensitive eye tissue. It's fairly close. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but it's fairly close to her eyes. So it would be nice to start with something a little bit more gentle.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll probably be able to zoom in maybe, George, when we get there. We'll kind of even turn her head and we can show you guys more of those pigmented areas, especially there around the eye.
And going back to managing your client's expectations, you want to make sure that from the first 2 treatments, keeping it a facial and more of a progressive, the lightening components of those more darker spots or really just overall brightening aren't going to be as significant as they are with the deep or mid-level. So, 2 treatments in, if they haven't done facials or peels before, they might be thinking that it's going to be more dramatic of a change.
Yeah.
And that's not the goal necessarily with the original facial and with the progressive peel we did last
Right.
time. That's more understanding how her skin's going to react, getting that
Prepping
overall
her.
health that you were talking
Yeah.
about, but not the extreme lightening that we want to achieve over the full 90 days.
Yeah.
So with pigmentation, it's much harder.
Well, yeah, and I kind of think that that's a good point that you're bringing up, and that's where it's different than maybe just having someone come in for that one peel versus a program, and what we'll really see. But not only does it help to prep the skin and really allow us to see, but it gives us a good gauge, because remember, we always have to look at their healing time too, and that varies from one skin to the other, because that'll really give you a guide in what you can do next. What are your next steps and how are they healing? And if you've been watching and kind of going through the series of the aging 90-day transformation that we did with that particular model, we saw that her healing time was taking so much longer, and there was a lot of factors with that, but then that changed gears to realize that her skin really needed more that healing component to it, a different approach than going for those really aggressive peels, which many times that is your answer for your aging clients, in that where you might do a deep, you might do a couple mid-depths. And so we took a different route. So it'll tell you that too, and it's just so important to not go too fast, too quickly, and even more so when you're dealing with any skins of color, and when you're dealing with pigmentation, I would say probably more than anything. I mean, more so than an acne client and things like that. But we kind of, as a philosophy in general, really start a little bit slower, just to really get a grasp on their skin and all of that. And certainly with that facial first, but I think it really shows us a lot that's happening and what we can do. How'd that cleanser feel?
Feel good.
Good.
Did you like the way it smelled?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it smells good.
Yeah, her skin looks so good.
Yeah, all of your products smell so good. Usually I don't use cosmetic before because sometimes I smell just too much for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, they smell like fruit and stuff. So
Yeah. More subtle, but has it, yeah. And that's just because we don't use synthetic type of fragrances and things like that in the line. And so most people feel that way, or they can tell. You can kind of tell when something's artificial.
Yeah.
You can tell when it's got that. And even though it might smell good at first, it just leaves that after smell scent to it. And so we hear that a lot. So that's good. Yeah. It makes it a little more fun to wash your face, doesn't it?
yes.
And take care of your skin. Do we have a question?
Can you go into a little bit more depth of why pre-treating is beneficial to the skin before a peel, and also what the best pre-treat products are to use for hyperpigmentation? I know that you mentioned the mint papaya enzyme, but what else in addition to that?
Pre-treating for home care or pre-treating day of the treatment?
Pre-treating for home care.
Like a pre-treat prior? Well, and we, and I can't even remember, we'd have to look in our file. We put her on Chronopeptide A, Natural Mega Brightening Serum.
No.
I think tell me what we pre-treated her with, which was a very gentle pre-treat. So you can go in different ways. You can go for more of a pre-treat that you're really trying to get that skin in almost a raw state already, almost a peeling state. And that can be something that you do. With pigmentation, usually you're pre-treating more for the melanocyte production. So you're really trying to suppress those melanocytes and work within the skin there. Yeah, so the Natural Mega Brightening Serum with the Chronopeptide A. So we did a vitamin A to really start kind of increasing that collagen and elastin in the skin. And then we did the Natural Mega Brightening Serum all over her skin to help with the melanocyte production and really kind of begin to suppress that, so that when we go in with the peel, we're not going to have that additional activity or potential post-inflammatory pigmentation. So that's one reason to start. The other reason is for certain skin types, especially a little bit thicker, maybe even oiler and large pores, things like that, it's good to pre-treat because of the absorption that will begin to happen then with everything you do. Your acids are going to go further, your enzymes are going to go further. All of those things, when you pre-treat a skin, and remember this too, if you do decide to pre-treat, most of the things that you do when it comes to following our peel book, if it's labeled progressive, that's probably going to turn to a progressive plus. It's going to go a little bit further. If it's labeled mid-depth and you had pre-treated, it might even go into deep. It depends on how long you pre-treat and what you're really working to do and achieve. So typically we pre-treat for about a week, sometimes 2 weeks prior. Anything to add maybe on pre-treating and why we would do it?
And a lot of the times too, it helps to achieve the optimal outcome that you're looking for as far as getting an even peel. When you're using some sort of an A, like the Chronopeptide A, you're helping to accelerate the cell turnover and also have those cells release a little bit faster. So then when you do come in with the acid and the treatment, it's going to be much more even of an exfoliation, and it's going to be a deeper exfoliation. And especially with pigmentation, we're trying to exfoliate off those keratinocytes that have already had that deposition happen with the melanin. So, you know, it doesn't matter how much melanocyte suppression we have, those cells still have those melanosomes inserted into them. So we want to exfoliate those off, and we can do that by pre-treating and then finishing it with the treatment.
Yeah, so I think that's really good. So yeah, it can be certainly helpful with a lot of skin types. Pigmentation from the melanocyte activity is your first thought. And then do you want to do some of those other things? Do you need to start breaking down the skin more? Do you need to increase that cellular turnover and start that activity happening now or later? Within, want to take a look over there. And then with aging, same thing, you know, depending on the skin. If it's a really dry, thinner skin, I probably wouldn't pre-treat, or if I did, I'd pre-treat with something gentle just to start strengthening the skin before a peel. If I was dealing with a thicker skin, a smoker skin, I might pre-treat for, you know, a couple weeks to begin to break that skin down, and then acne sometimes depending on the bacteria. So there's different reasons to do that, and hopefully you kind of understand that. We're looking at her skin a little bit more. Let me look on this side too, just to kind of see. And mostly were you feeling congestion then, kind of coming up? So, which is
More so
good.
on this side, but I feel like we can see it better too, but I can feel it. But before I could feel it right here, I'm not feeling it so much right here. Like we've gotten rid of a lot of this, but now I feel like this is coming from below.
And a lot of that too could be because you said before that you haven't used a lot of professional products. And the penetration mechanisms that we have in more of a professional line, and specifically with Rhonda Allison, are going to stir up some dermal debris and help to kind of open up the pathways to allow for a better nutrient supply. But you kind of have to go through a certain purging phase, and it seems like we're getting a lot of that debris to come out, and it's nice because it is coming out when you felt congestion on this side, and now that's gone. It's just going to go
So that's
a little
gonna-
slower of a process.
Yeah, and so I can see that's going down into some depth too. So it is a little bit more dense there on that one. But a lot of them are fairly surface, it looks like. And so that's good. So kind of feeling her skin, seeing the differences there. And you certainly can go through purging with anyone's skin, and particularly a skin that hasn't used a lot of products like this, and then going through the peel. It's really going to start bringing things, impurities, certain toxins. If someone's been using a lot of parabens, we'll see those start to come out of the skin over a 6-week period of time. And then also acne, you can get some breakouts, usually from purging. If there is any, it will subside pretty quickly. It's not like your normal acne lesion that hangs on sometimes for a longer amount of time. And but you can expect purging with a lot of skins, and as you're getting started. And so feeling some things coming to the surface. So this will probably really even kind of take that a little further and lift those out of there. And I'm excited to see how her skin feels after and does after this peel. So are you doing brightening pigment?
Yes,
So the brightening pigment lotion and applying that as a toner here. If you had a skin that you wanted to do a stronger prep, you could do something like the Fruit Acid Botanical. You could even go in with an AHA. We talked about maybe her skin and background a little bit, maybe not doing that. This is a good enough prep with the fact that we're doing that mint papaya enzyme too. That's really considered part of our prepping of the skin here prior to the main acid. And so good. And then do you need an assistant back there to get things going? Do I need to call up someone to help get all this happening? So then we kind of just let that dry in and then go into the mint papaya enzyme. And I love this enzyme because it has such kind of deep or more aggressive enzymatic properties to it. It's one of our most aggressive that way. However, it doesn't have any other acids added to it, and it's not hot on the skin really. Some people might feel a little bit of activity, but it really digests and kind of eats away at that top outer layer of skin, that epidermis dead skin cells, and allows for everything that we're going to do after to really be more effective. So it's great, and it has some lightening components too, and it'll just be a really nice enzyme for her. Any other questions out there?
And what's nice about the mint papaya is that with most enzymes compared to acids, they're really picky as far as what proteins they have the potential of breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are doing so many different acid layers, as I have mentioned before, it's really nice to get just that enzymatic exfoliation and not create additional inflammation. You know, with deeper penetrating acids, you're breaking down the desmosomes, but you could also potentially be breaking down live tissue as well. So this enzyme is so specific as to what it's targeting that it's a fantastic prepping agent, but also very potent at the same time.
Yeah, I love it. It's a staple. I mean, I think it's really, we'll probably say that about different things, but in the treatment room, honestly, you got to have mint papaya, and I don't think we do an account without it, but you never know. But just trust us on that, because it can be used pretty much on every skin type, and it's one of your go-tos for a more aggressive enzyme without having to worry about like an AHA or salicylic or something else being in there. You can steam with it. You can use it in all kinds of settings, and it's great.
Shannon, is there a possibility where the pigmentation could come back? And if so, what would really be causing that?
Well, yes. It should come back, probably. If it didn't, I'd be real thrilled. Do you want to talk about that first, and then I can kind of go?
Well, I mean, as you had mentioned before, it's we're not changing the way that the melanocyte is acting indefinitely. We're suppressing its behavior, but we have to have constant suppression in order for that melanocyte not to continue to overproduce melanin. So we can eliminate it to a certain degree, and then we have to continually wear adequate SPF and tyrosinase inhibitors. Otherwise, if you stop treating it, it's going to potentially come back.
And why is that? And that's just because the memory of that cell is thinking, I have repaired damage in the skin. I've got to continue now to produce this amount of melanocytes, if you wanted to look at it this way, to really protect the skin, because that's a big part of its job. So what happens is we're suppressing that. We're starting to kind of suppress that activity. We're pushing it down layers into the skin. But as you stop that, or as something else that targets that melanocyte to now respond again, sun, exposure, overheating, things like that, then it's going to go, oh, okay, oh my goodness, I got to get back up there. And it starts really producing at the same rate. And then you see that pigment start to happen pretty much the same way it was before. And sometimes it's because of what was I going to say? Oh, inflammation in the skin that's caused by certain treatments, that you don't really see that pigment for a much longer time too, because it's kind of suppressed way down into the layers of the skin. As inflammation begins to subside too, it will come to the surface a little more. So lots of reasons for that. But I mean, the main thing is just to understand where's this pigmentation coming from, understanding what's really happening when we talk about pigmentation from a standpoint of why are those melanocytes causing this darker pigment in the skin, and then what's going on. And I look at it sometimes just like as a damaged DNA. So it's kind of damaged in its original state of how it should be performing. All of that though is really for protection for us, and that's the way the body's designed, but we don't like the look of this pigmentation or what's going on. So as we begin to work on that, we really need to think sometimes of more repairing the skin, beginning to work that way, things that will help the memory of the skin to begin to change, the skin cells and that cellular production. Those type of things will start to get more of a permanent change in the skin. What we're doing right now is really giving the skin more of an appearance of, and really kind of suppressing it down into the layers, which is great that we can do that, because you'll have a very happy client many, many times. And when they see that, clarity to their skin, when they don't see that so dark and things like that. And sometimes people, if they really stay on, kind of like you were saying, Caitlin, that sunscreen and using some like natural mega brightening serum and kind of pulling on and off of it, but really watching their skin, they can keep it pretty under control. So those are the things, but that's really kind of what's going on. So you can expect it to come back, but the reason why this is so important, and I like to stress it, is because I want you to have good conversations with your clients to really be able to get on the same expectation level. So that they understand why it could come back, why it possibly would, what else they need to do to maintain it. And it's really no different than any other skin type. I mean, our anti-aging clients, we're not going to get rid of all their wrinkles and then then they just don't have to use anything, right? They're going to stay on that good home care. They're going to get a peel every now and then. It's normal stuff. It's the way our skin ages. We got to continue to take care of it and do that maintenance. But we can certainly slow it down with that skin, and with pigmentation, we can certainly suppress it. So just being on the same page is really, really important. Any other questions out there? So we did a hot towel compress on her, and just letting this enzyme go a little bit further. If you wanted to, we were talking about steam earlier, you can do steam with this enzyme. We like to kind of use the hot towel compress because it kind of will drive it in a little bit farther and a little bit faster, and especially in a peel setting, and you don't have to keep it on quite as long. Well, I don't know how long it's been, but about...
It's starting to cool off.
Yeah.
Probably another minute and it'll be good to go.
Would you say that certain Fitzpatricks are harder to treat for hyperpigmentation? And if so, which ones? And in addition to that, do you recommend certain acids for higher Fitzpatricks that you wouldn't recommend for the lower Fitzpatricks?
Mm-hmm. That's going to vary. There's a lot of similarities there when it comes to the acids that we target for pigmentation. But when you get up into that high Fitzpatrick, that really our darkest skin, a Fitzpatrick 6, that is honestly the most challenging to get that pigment to really move. Melasma in the skin is really a challenge too. So it depends on that. But that really high Fitzpatrick, we can certainly get results, and we have a lot of befores and afters that we do, and how we work on that skin. But it would be your most challenging, I would say. But sometimes this skin type too, I find to be very, very challenging. And I mean, almost maybe a 3 and over, really offers its challenges when we're dealing with, the skin.
And mostly because the variable that all of those skin types have in common is that we're very reactive to inflammation.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of post-inflammatory pigmentation problems. So you can't go as aggressive as you would, say, with the Fitzpatrick 1 or 2 and really get in there, be as aggressive as you can, and you don't have to worry as much about that post-inflammatory pigmentation. Plus keloid scarring for your darker skin types too.
Oh, yeah.
You have to really gauge the way that you treat the skin to prevent that. So it's
Yeah.
just, I think it's a longer process when you're working with your darker skin types. Still can get some really great results, but just a longer process. to
Yeah,
get
I
there.
think that's probably a good way to put it. And certainly starting lighter with them is really, really key and important, kind of like we did here. The other thing too is that when you talked about asking different acids and solutions. When you're working with higher Fitzpatrick's, you want to watch those solutions that are really, really hot when it's with pigmentation. So you kind of watch that and build up to that if you can. So, even like Kojic clay, I wouldn't really use that a lot of times. We do use it on darker skins and higher Fitzpatrick's, but not as a go-to, not something that we just jump right into. So keeping that in mind, I would say, but for the most part, you can use any of our acids that are in that pigmentation range, or any acids that help with exfoliation and lightening or lifting, and always adding in that melanin suppressant. The melanin suppressant's key, and it's usually in every peel protocol, but with the higher Fitzpatrick, we use it a couple times, a lot of times, or even mix it into our main acids. Everything
So I'm
feeling
just gonna
good?
rinse one more time.
Okay.
I feel like her skin already looks brighter just from that.
Well, every step we've done, didn't you notice? Because even with the skin brightening cleanser with the beta or whatever, the brightening scrub and that, I was noticing a difference after that. Hopefully you guys are being able to capture that on the screen, but we're seeing those changes, which is wonderful to see as we're even going through the treatment here.
Her skin does really look good. I noticed it myself. Typically, how soon can you start to see results when you're doing a series like this?
Well, I would say we were already seeing results, right? Someone could be happy with just this. If they didn't know and they didn't spend the money for, let's say, a 90-day, and they came in and you did a facial in one peel, they could be happy and do their home care and then schedule another peel just like that in 4 or 6 weeks, something that's working with them. So, I mean, really, I even feel like after we did her first facial, I saw when she came back for the peel, I was like, oh, she's already seeing a result. So in many cases, it's pretty immediate, like within that first week to 2 weeks. Typically, this is someone that maybe hasn't done a lot of professional products, not a lot of facials, not a lot of peels. You'll see the responses sometimes faster within that skin type. But I would say within the Rhonda Allison line and using, a facial and then going into a peel, you pretty much see, and we saw this with every program we've done so far, even the acne client and then the aging, on that second treatment going into the third, we're just seeing, wow, we're already seeing changes. So pretty quickly, and it's been what, 4 weeks since we've started her, or 3?
I think just about 3.5.
Maybe we've kind of gone, yeah, something like that. We'll find out.
And, it's always, we see these minor changes in her skin with the clarity and just overall brightness and just a more even complexion. But this is also key when your consultation comes into play, especially if she hasn't done professional treatments before.
Right.
What's her expectation? Because we
Right.
see these changes, but if she's expecting to see something, crazy, we want to make sure that she still sees the little steps. And that's when before and after pictures are key as
Yeah.
well. Because they're looking at their skin every single day, they might not notice the changes that we see. So to be able to compare the two pictures gives them more of a concrete
Yeah.
understanding of the changes that are happening.
Yeah, and I think it's good on both sides too, because I know, for the different skin types we've done in here with the 90-day, I'm going, oh, but we should be able to go here, here, and here. So but then they're completely happy. They're like, oh my God, look at my skin. But knowing how far you can go and what's happening with that skin. But expectations is probably the biggest key to your success, for having a client that feels satisfied and happy with what you've done, and for you to grow your business, because a lot of your growth is going to be from referrals. I mean, that's just the way it is. You'll see so much more of that, and that when you grow based on referrals, it really makes more of a solid business in so many ways, because it shows your work. It shows the foundation. You're getting out there and people are hearing what you're doing. And so being on the same page is really, really important for you, because sometime when you're not and they have expectations way up here and you decide to go for it with them regardless, that's when you end up getting yourself in trouble. And it's like, darn it, why did I do that? And so really setting the tone and making sure you're leading is very, very important, that you're helping them to understand, no, this is where we can be. This is where we're going. And if they're trying to run the program or if they're trying to tell you the results, those are the clients that you need to kind of be very cautious of and sometimes even turn away. But you're looking for long term here. You're looking to really build your business and your clientele. And so that expectation level is huge. And we've seen that over the years where that right there gets people into trouble. Just not being on the same page, you
And
know?
it always happens when their girlfriend comes in, they got a Jesner or something, and they had amazing results. So the friend comes
Wants
in,
a Jesner,
wants
the same
a Jesner, the same
No, no,
thing.
no, gotta have
But
it.
can't, it's not going to work the same with her skin. So she gets upset and is going to say, I'm going to go someplace else.
Yeah.
In that case, she probably should, because
Yes.
she's not going to get the same outcome. She's going to be disappointed, and it could cause some damage that you're not really willing
Yeah.
to.
That is such a great point. I mean, that is so true. And you hear that a lot. I want the peel she had. But it might not be the peel for you. So that's where, too, being set up as the expert and understanding the different acids that you have to really be able to communicate to them why this would be better. But they're going to get similar results, but it will be a different type of peel or a different solution, or here's what's going on with your skin versus hers and things like that. But yeah, I mean, that one's you hear that a lot. I want that same thing no matter what. So I'm assuming you've done cell conditioner,
Yes, I have.
melanin suppressant.
That is about what I'm about to
So
do.
you kind of let, this one looks a little shiny. Is it going in quick? Yeah, it looks more shiny than normal, but look, so then on the cell conditioner, melanin suppressant, you've seen that all along, but we want to just apply those. Usually you turn around, get your melanin suppressant and go right for it, but you just kind of let it saturate into the skin if you do see any pooling or, any liquid at all, and then going right into the melanin suppressant. So remember, cell conditioner is not only prepping the skin, but it's helping with inflammation. And as we can create that inflammatory, kind of suppressing those anti-inflammatory response receptors in our skin, it will really help the outcome of this peel, because we want to keep inflammation down as much as possible. What happens when you over-inflame a skin or you start getting too much inflammation is the healing time starts to take longer. And more sensitivity in the skin during that process. So when we can use something like this, the cell conditioner, it begins to really help kind of the overall outcome in the process that's going on. And then, of course, our melanin suppressant, which we all know about that because of the name, but we want to use that as much as possible with her skin type and pretty much anyone's that you work on. Both of those acids are not really hot. Usually they don't need a fan, but every now and then someone will. You feel like it's hot? So we can get her a fan if we give that to her. So after you apply it, you can let her use the fan and cool off for just a minute, and that's totally fine.
Here's your button here. And don't turn it on until she's completely finished.
How hot is it?
It's,
Like
it's,
tingle or
it's kind of hotter
Like-
than last time.
hotter than last time? Yeah, and sometimes you'll see that too, because as we go along, her skin's going to receive things and differently than at first, with more buildup on the skin, things like that. So they're going to maybe, feel things a little bit more. So what we've done is the cell conditioner, the melanin suppressant. Now, here's where we're adding to this particular protocol. Let me make sure I'm telling you right. So yeah, right after you do this pre-peel application, then what we're going to do is now add in acids that are going to take this to mid-depth. So we're going to start with the hibiscus. And with the hibiscus, we'll do one layer. We're using the hibiscus for a few reasons. It's really very friendly on skins pretty much any skin, and certainly a skin like hers, and with her background, it really is a nice combination of acids that's going to really start the exfoliation and lifting, but also add another component to her skin from a cellular standpoint. It will also help to just kind of loosen her skin cells even more. We've done the digestive process. Now we're going to loosen even more. So when we apply our sake peel, which is with our TCA and salicylic, it's going to help that to even penetrate deeper, which is really what we want. So this is a good option here. You can use something like an AHA if you wanted to, but if you were going to do that, you do it before the cell conditioner or melanin suppressant. You could just use the mandelic arginine peel, and that would be fine to use here, and we're just going to do one layer. Or you could just go right into your sake, but we want to kind of add that component for her skin. I think it'll give her more lifting, and that's what we want to see with the movement for the pigmentation.
So if you need the family, let me get the full layer on, and then you can put it on, okay?
And in the hibiscus as well with the sake peel is the pyruvic acid, and we've talked about this so many times, but you know, a good way to think about it is our skins or our epidermis, its number one goal is to protect the body. So it's going to help keep fluids in, keep viruses and bacteria out. And so when we compromise the barrier, all of the energy and resources that our skin has available to it is going to go directly towards barrier function and barrier protection. So when we have 90% of our resources going towards barrier protection and function, then there's no resources left for helping to repair DNA damage or helping with stimulation of collagen and elastin through your fibroblasts. So all of your energy sources are going towards that number one barrier function. So if we're using things like pyruvic acid in conjunction with our other proliferating acids, we're able to kind of allocate the energy towards barrier function, but also keep some energy sources for other components in the skin that we're trying to target. So really thinking about how energy works in the skin, how much energy the skin has, you can start to understand all of the different great things that hibiscus does, mandelic arginine and the sake peel can do by just increasing the ATP or the natural energy source that your skins have available to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such an important component to kind of like you said, even like we're helping with inflammation on one side, you know, helping to keep the melanocytes kind of at bay on another side. And then when we talk about the energy and what that really does, because if it is stuck in that way or not able to have enough resources to then do some of this reparative aspect that we need it to do, you're kind of losing out a little bit.
Yes.
It's like all of these things begin to work together to really make for a healthy outcome on the skin. And that's why I like to use it even just in one layer sometimes, like here, or the mandelic, which is a little less in strength overall, well, quite a bit less. Usually you don't see any peeling from the mandelic arginine, but you get those benefits that Caitlin just mentioned. We want to give her more exfoliation, and so that's why we went to the hibiscus for this particular option here. But adding that in can really just add that other component. So the more I've learned, and particularly from you too, on that pyruvic acid, is I've always said, you know, the more I learned about cell conditioner and melanin suppressant, it's got to be in everyone. Yeah. Now I'm feeling like mandelic arginine has to be in everyone, you know, because it adds that other component that's so important, and really all it's doing is working on the cellular side.
It is.
All of that's going on, not just the peeling. And when we add all that to it,
and it's all, again, such a well-rounded way of treating the skin. That's really why we get such an optimal outcome with all of the Rhonda Allison peels, is that we're not focusing just on a lactic acid being hydrating, exfoliating, and rejuvenating. We're thinking about what other components we can add in to enhance what the lactic acid is doing. So, you know, the cell conditioner is very specific to that anti-inflammation, also the anti-carcinogenic properties, but reducing the byproduct of peeling the skin is done with that particular product.
Yeah.
Then reducing the melanocyte activity, so there's less pigmentation issues afterwards, that kind of base is covered. Then if you can increase the energy with the pyruvic acid, then that's your third base that's covered, so you really can get the optimal peel that you're looking for.
Yeah, and all of those things are important in the peeling stage, but then even as we talk about what's going on with our skin underneath and the whole process for aging and all of those things and what's slowing down. Lily, how did that hibiscus feel? I saw you needed the fan, but just for a minute, is everything feeling good right now?
Yes.
Okay, everything looks real good. She got a little more pink through here, but it's kind of subsided, a little bit more pink here. But not anything that's, too much of a concern. And that's what you're looking for as you go through these peels, is making sure that each step you're watching the skin and seeing changes and making adjustments if you need to. So now we're going to apply the Saki peel. And so we'll do at least 2 layers, so we'll get those on. And this could be warm. You did have 1 layer of this, I believe, maybe 2 last time. So it's the same acid, so you can let us know, but just wait until she kind of gets everything on, and then you can bring your fan up. But it should be hotter, so expect that. Yeah.
And the combination of TCA and salicylic acid too is going to be good for getting into more of your deeper, mid to deep level peels, because TCA has such an ability to penetrate a little bit deeper and have much more proliferation kind of from underneath. And then salicylic acid has the ability to penetrate through sebaceous material and get into the follicle a little bit further. So those two are going to help to really stimulate the cell turnover rate, but also help to exfoliate off some of those skin cells that are a little bit deeper and kind of get that process of eruption to happen a little bit better.
Yeah, and we're using firm pressure here.
How's that feel? Okay, go right ahead.
And how would you rate it on a scale from 1 to 10?
It's really, really hot.
Like
It's like 8 or 9.
8 or 9? Okay. And I think that's what she was last week. I feel like she might have even been a 10 on the Saki when she was saying
I
it.
think it was really fast, and then she started to
Yeah.
subside pretty quickly.
And I just think, everyone's different from the way that they can take it and then what their expectation is.
Right.
I mean, you feel like your face is burning off, and so it's like, whoa. So you have a difference there. But I would say most people that have been through peels or anything might say this is around a 5. And that depends. Does it feel?
You can keep using it if you need to.
Yeah, we can. We're
not gonna hurt
waiting because
anything.
we got to wait for a few
Yeah.
minutes anyway while it's on. So you want to allow this to process on the skin for at least 3 minutes. And then you can go to your next layer. You want to make sure that she's good and calm, all of that. Doesn't need the fan anymore at that point. And then make sure if you see any frosting, if you see any redness, pinkness, anything going on with the skin. And then you're ready to go to your next step.
I think it's important too, because people just want to rush through a peel, and you have to really take your time because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it very well you could get some frosting a few minutes into after already the layer application, and you think, oh, well, you go in and you do another layer, and then the frost is from the first layer. It could really cause a complication that you really don't want to have to deal with.
And going too far sometimes. So you really want to allow yourself the time and to really be watching and assessing the skin. And then also this doesn't hurt, so it allows the client to, be able to relax before the next one, just for a minute.
Get geared up.
Get geared up. So everything doing good. Just more pinkness, really, is all I really see. Just that kind of erythema happening. I thought maybe I was seeing frosting through here, but I don't think it is.
I think it's just the lighting, because
Yeah.
I saw it here as well.
Yeah. So I believe we can, I think that we can go to her next layer. You're feeling better? How, what would you say it's at right now as far as heat? Has it subsided to a what?
It's just feeling kind of warm right now, but it's kind of tingle around area.
So maybe before it was like an 8 or a 9. What would you say it is now?
Now it's like almost gone.
So like a 2.
Yes.
That was fast.
That's good.
Yeah, her skin has just done
She just gets
so
hot and then
well
it
on
subsides.
everything we do.
I know. It really is doing good. And so then the second application, now we're going to do a different crisscross, and you guys have seen that, but just always keeping that in mind. We want to get even saturation with everything that we do. That's so important to the outcome of the peel, using firm pressure. So she's going in a different direction here. You want to keep tabs on. What do you do normally? Do you go to this side of the face first or that side? And you'll know, because whatever your normal pattern is, kind of keep doing that all through until you get up to that crisscross, and then you do the opposite. You go down, you go to the other side, all of that. And if you were going to do a third layer, even sometimes we'll start at the chin and kind of go up, or neck décolleté. Her décolleté and neck is so good, and we had decided that really for her and what she was wanting, that we weren't going to treat that during this series. Most of the time you're doing more on the neck, but you do have to be careful on the neck when it comes to all the peeling, because it is more sensitive. It does seem to get more irritated quickly. So sometimes when we do it through a program, it depends on what's going on with the neck and what we're treating. We may do less layers with each peel, and sometimes kind of just let that be to where it's not quite as aggressive on their neck and with certain things. How does this one feel?
It's better than the last one.
So it's not building up a heat? Good.
And I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, that's true too. That starts to happen.
And the salicylic acid also has an analgesic property to it. So depending on how many layers and how long you wait in between, they can start to feel like it's
Kind of numbs it out a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it looks real, real good.
I can't wait to after the 90 days to see just the texture around her nose area,
Yeah.
around where those larger pores are.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to look great.
Mhm. It looks like we're getting maybe a little bit right in the crevice of her nose.
Well, that's what I thought last time, but I think it's the shine of the light maybe still, but, well, no, it might be.
I
Look at
kinda
all of
think
us.
I see it.
We need those glasses, Michelle. Those
I
mag
do think I
glasses
see
when
it
they
right
help.
there.
I do think I do too.
Just right in that.
Yeah, I don't know if you could really capture this on the screen or not. It's very mild in the frosting. But what that tells you, and particularly if you begin to see it, is to maybe, if we were going to do another layer, is to stay away from that area. That's what you want to do whenever you see frosting. And sometimes at the mid-depth level here, we want to see frosting. Maybe not full face, but we certainly want to see it in a few areas. We're going to try to bring her eye area to a frost. And I think just doing one more layer is what we want to do here too for her. Just in general, she looks great. She can easily do another layer, but maybe avoiding that just a little. I was thinking it started to change and subside, but no, I still see it. So yeah, it probably is just some slight frosting through there. Well, and the way her nose is, it's kind of going, you know what I mean? So it's going to get trapped under there a little bit more. And then we'll go back with a Q-tip. Yeah. Or let's just start, you know what? Let's just do, so third layer, we can start wherever we want, really. So what I think we should do here, Michelle, is start in all her problem areas. So really getting her cheek area here, through here, get that really good and saturated there, and then go back. But still, you want to do a full face layer if you were. You don't have to, though, at this point. You know, you can just, right here, begin to spot treat with the acid. So you've already really gotten that double layer, all full saturation, and so now you're going back in those problem areas. And then what we want to do is just take, we're going to take the Q-tip and kind of get around her pigment on her eye, and maybe even place it in a couple other pigmented areas. The Q-tip allows you to really kind of work that acid in, and should bring up sometimes some frost. This acid isn't one of those that brings a lot of frosting. It's not like the TCA and salicylic, but we will see it with it, and after doing, you know, so many layers. But we want to at least hit her eye area and a couple of those pigmented spots one more time with that. How does that feel? She just says hot every time. I love it. All right, she's like, quit asking me. This is hot. She's being real good. You know, I am like, I'd be crying right now, Lily. I can't handle it. So you're doing good. Because it is hot. It's not comfortable. Anything with TCA, and salicylic's one of the hotter acids too, so yeah. It's going into her skin like
Oh my
quickly.
gosh.
I
Yeah.
mean, which is good.
I know, I think the refinement here is gonna look great.
Be really good.
So how many more layers?
So that's the last layer we'll do. But we're going to go back and hit areas that you have more pigment, and maybe even along your nose where you have more enlarged pores there. So we'll do that with the Q-tip and just kind of work that in. And then that'll be it. Okay, and then we'll go on to our vitamin A.
Shannon, is it okay for her to use corrective products while she's on the 90-day program, or should she wait until the 90-day is complete, and if so, how long after?
Well, it's a part of the program, so we use corrective products here to start her with. Then when she's going through post-care or peels, we're not going to use any correctives, right? And then it depends, because once she does her post-follow-up, we're probably going to give her skin about a 3-week break from doing peels, even in this, and then go to the next one. So during that 3-week time frame, we may put her back on natural mega brightening serum and chrono. So certainly correctives are a part of it and really all through, but when you're going through these stages of peeling, you're just standing in post-care for your home care. So yeah, so it'll be, it will be a part of the program and then certainly ongoing. I know that our 90-day, I want to say for aging, we couldn't really get her on too many correctives during the process because her skin just was in kind of that more healing state. So she was like in between peels, stayed on it. She really didn't start her correctives much until after, at the very beginning, and then when we were done. But she'll be able to use them a little bit more.
And actually for our anti-aging model, just kind of looking at her skin after we did the 90 days and introduced more correctives, you've seen a significant change in her skin from that. So it is really important to have the home care component. You know, it's similar to your workout regimen. You know, if you're doing a 90-day program, you can't just go see your trainer once every 3 weeks and get a full transformation. It's the home care and the correctives that are going to make a lot of that same change. So again, with the anti-aging model we've seen some really nice changes and differences in her skin, just being on correctives and not doing additional treatments.
Yeah, just kind of rolling and pressing into some of those areas. So when you're using this Q-tip, what it allows for you to do, and particularly with acne scarring, it's a great technique as well, but you're really trying to almost drive it in and really work that Q-tip there into those areas. And you get quite a bit of solution on and do fairly good pressure on that. And then and I think you got mostly here, so maybe just her nose. She's not really getting frosting anywhere.
You feeling okay,
And so that's
Lily?
okay. Okay. Getting hotter. And see, I'd kind of dig it right into those, especially on the tip of her nose. It's just really press and sort of even, sometimes I'll even hold and then pull, you know, and it'll get it really deep into those crevices and those pores. So with the acne scarring, we would do that too, especially with the TCA sal, is go back into those areas and almost like a pocket, you're almost pulling the acid into that area to get that disbursement and to get more peeling and lifting there.
And around her eye area, Michelle was rolling it out, not in towards the eye.
Right.
Since it is saturated.
We don't want to do that. So it looks good. No frosting.
I feel burn and not frosting.
Frosting could be cool feeling. So we'll let this sit on the skin here for a few minutes and watch her skin. And do you feel like you need the fan again? Yep. Okay, we'll go on up. Just being very calm.
I'm just curious how long the patient or the client has had hyperpigmentation. Has it been a few years or 10 years, 20 years? How long?
I think for her, if I remember from the consultation, kind of a long time. And then,
Initially started with acne.
yeah.
And got some secondary pigmentation
hyperpigmentation from that. What about that distinct spot around your eye, Lily?
When did
How
that
is happening?
come about around your eye there?
About a year and a half ago.
And did it, was it started small and then, or did you just start to notice it about a year and a half ago completely?
It started in a heart shape. So all my kids was like, Mommy, you have a heart on your face. And then it goes like more square.
And then more circle. And then I remember you telling us, didn't you tell us something about birth control or something about 7 years ago, or was that another one? Hydrocortisone. Yes, okay, using something like that, and then you started noticing. So that was happening, which was 7 years ago or so. And then this, so, yeah. So some a long time, and then feeling good?
Yes.
The nice thing about this acid is it does self-neutralize. And then we're going to finish with the vitamin A. Okay. And then she should get pretty good peeling, definitely more than last time. It should peel full face. And then you're going to do your same post care. We might look at it. I know she ran out of something last time, so when we kind of get up there and talk about her post care, we can figure out if there's anything else to add. What moisturizer did we have her on as far as a healing moisturizer? I know it's C-Gems, right?
Yes.
And then Growth Factor. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it? Do you think she would need, you think maybe therapy E? I feel like drops would be too much, drop of essence.
Definitely.
But she is going to get drier. Did you feel like the Growth Factor serum was helping with your dryness? And we might be able to just keep it that way and just be spraying like crazy with the cucumber. So this has been great. I don't know if there's anything else to say. I am running to the airport, and I got to go. We're in good hands to finish this. You look great, though. Michelle, Caitlin, they know what they're doing, and you already went through a peel, which is awesome, so you kind of know the do's and don'ts. So we really don't necessarily need to sit at the table for that as much, but just go through her post-care. And I think just making sure that she has everything. You're going to stay on that post care, and then we want to schedule your follow-up for next Tuesday, a week later. Hopefully we can do a post care facial, so it won't be burning and all of that. And we'd like to do that next Tuesday. Yeah, you're looking forward to that. That'll be good. And so let's see, I don't even know our schedule next Tuesday, but I'm thinking probably around 2 o'clock, same time. I think if we keep it that way, it kind of helps people with their timing. Or is that good for you, do you think, next Tuesday at 2? Or early? Okay. Would that work okay? So we'll schedule that. If it needs to change slightly, I think I'm free all day. Y'all can work that out. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time. And you did great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's that vitamin A feeling?
It's so good.
It feels good. Good. So it's really sunny outside, so
It's really sunny.
yeah, so I think we'll go ahead and do the daytime defense on top of this. Especially since we are fighting hyperpigmentation,
Right.
we certainly don't want to cause any extra.
And Lily, what did you say you had run out of last time?
The growth factor.
Okay.
It ran out on Monday. So I used it for less than a week and it's gone.
Okay. How are you on cucumber spritz?
Almost to the end of it.
Okay.
I think I spray a lot.
But no, you can spray as much as you want.
And C-Gems,
I still have it.
plenty?
Not really pay attention, so I don't know. Decent. So if I'm out, I think it's a week. I don't know. If I'm out of it, I can come in here and pick it up. Is that all right?
Oh, of course.
So she has currently been using the Skin Brightening Cleanser, and because she has had an issue with acne before, the Citrus Gel Cleanser is probably going to be the best option for her non-active cleanser. So we'll keep her on the Growth Factor Serum, the C-Gems, incorporate the Citrus Gel Cleanser for her non-active, and also keep her on the Cucumber Spritz. Other than that, Michelle, did Shannon say that she wanted her on
Mm-mm.
therapy?
Well, I think that we're just going to go ahead and do the growth factor serum for dryness, and then see if she seems like she feels too dry. She can let us know. Maybe we can add the therapy E. I'm just going to put some Omega on her lips just because they looked a little dry. And I'm going to remove her iPads and then apply the daytime defense. How are you feeling, Lily?
It's too good now. It's okay.
You didn't.
And that's usually, oh, I'm sorry, you have a question?
With the post-care with growth factors, is there a different way that you use growth factors or recommend using them for a progressive or a mid-depth peel?
Well, sure, they're going to be beneficial for both types. The specific form of growth factor that we're using in the growth factor serum, the growth factor plus, and the growth factor gel is specifically epidermal growth factor, and we're using them in very high percentages. So epidermal growth factor is very specific in accelerating the healing stages through the different wound healing stages that the skin goes through. It's going to help also to enhance the cell proliferation, to make sure that that peeling process happens around day 3 rather than around day 5, where you've got that really uncomfortable brown shrink wrap look to the skin and just can be a little bit more irritated. So as far as mid-depth peels, the growth factor is definitely something that has to be in the regimen. For a progressive peel, you're basically using the growth factor to enhance what you're doing in the peel. Not necessarily as much for the wound healing components, but more for the cell proliferation and enhancing what you're doing with the acids in the peel. So working 2 different ways, but just as important in both scenarios. And I would say that if you're comparing the growth factor plus to either the growth factor serum or the growth factor gel, that would be more in the cases of post-facial surgery. Also in more of your ablative procedures, things like your CO2 or something that's going to be fairly aggressive, because it incorporates the shark cartilage, which really helps in a much different wound healing stage than the other growth factors we're using.
Caitlin, I have one more question. So other than the cleanser that we're changing up on her post-care, is there anything else that we're going to send her home with today?
I don't think so. The only other thing that I could think of would be, how's the daytime defense doing? You have enough of that? Which is what Michelle's putting on right now.
The sun protection, the SPF 30.
But because that bottle is kind of white, so I don't know.
How often are you using it?
I use every day.
Okay.
Some day I use it a couple more times than normal, because if I'm on my day off and I've been out a lot, or sometimes I have to be out a lot, then I put more layer.
Well, and if you find that you're running low, I can bring somebody, or you can let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Or Caitlin, we're both right really close to you.
Yes.
And because she hasn't peeled before, this is her first peel, we want to make sure that she's as comfortable as possible and compliant as possible. So we would maybe do calming skin gel, just in case she starts to get really itchy and has an issue like that, and maybe Pro-Salve or post-bone lubricating ointment in case she gets any cracking that might start to turn into fissures. We definitely don't want to have any extra problems with that. So again, because it's her first treatment, we might think about incorporating those products, but most of the time those are in case things go wrong or in case things get uncomfortable. The growth factor, the non-active cleanser, those are the 2 most important ones.
So I just applied the Omega right on top of it to drive it in a little bit more. Are you feeling okay, Lily?
Yes.
So you're going to need to cleanse your face tonight because we put the daytime on it, okay? Because it is so incredibly sunny outside and it's really warm.
So I cleanse it at night, and then I put on the growth factor, and then I put on the CJ.
You don't have to use the growth factor just immediately.
So just a gem today.
I would just say the non-active cleanser.
Just
and
your
then
cleanser,
that's
and
it,
if you want to
maybe
use your cucumber.
The spray. Cool.
It'll feel really, really good.
And then I start on the other two tomorrow.
We'll write it all down for you, but you won't start using the growth factor until you start to see the peeling happen.
Oh, really? Last time I used it right away.
But this is a
This is a
different
different
peel.
peel.
I didn't
This
know.
one's going to be a lot more peeling.
Do you want her to sit up?
Yeah.
George, are you gonna do a picture?
So we're going to let you sit up. Let me take that band from you. Thank you, ma'am.
Do you wanna see, or can you see well enough from the picture?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
So you're feeling good. You want to keep your hair pulled back in a ponytail, okay?
Yes.
And then just cleanse tonight, and then we'll start your post-care, your growth factor once you start peeling. Use your cucumber spritz as much as you want, okay? And then, of course, if you have questions, you can give us a call. So next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday at 2 Mountain Standard Time.
Okay. Thank you all so much for joining us today.